Good afternoon to everybody. I just wanted to say I'm immensely proud of my colleagues from Cayman Islands Fire Service who have worked tirelessly over the past 24 hours. A challenging fire on our landfill site. Working with colleagues from the Department of Environmental Health, Hazard Management, National Roads Authority, the Ministry for Home Affairs and Financial Services. We've had a real team approach to, in the first 24 hours, stop this fire from spreading beyond the boundaries of the landfill site, which we've done successfully. Of course, I understand the impact on local businesses and residents, and for that, we're sorry, and we're trying to minimise that impact by working tirelessly to extinguish the fire. That assurance I can give to the residents and businesses in this facility that we will bring this fire completely under control and extinguish it as soon as we possibly can. But you must understand that this is a challenging fire. The wind conditions that we've got are fanning smoke and flames, and the fire is over 3 fronts. So in fire service terms, we've sectorised, and we are working on those 3 fronts to extinguish. We of course understand the impact, particularly during rush hour, on motorists, and I'm really pleased to let your viewers know that working with colleagues, we've put in place a risk-assessed opening of the northbound carriageway of the Eastern Tibbets Highway, and that will be in effect from 4 o'clock until 6:30 this evening, and then we'll be reassessing in the morning to see if we can open the southbound carriageway from 6:30 until 9 o'clock, and that is of course dependent on the density of the smoke that's still emerging from the fire. But Cayman Islands Fire Service will have a presence here overnight. We'll be working throughout the night to continue to extinguish these 3 fronts of fire, and my hope is that my colleagues stay safe overnight, and I look forward to joining them first thing in the morning, where we will continue our efforts to fully extinguish this fire.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walker. Sir, can you hold the mic closer?
Yes, good evening everyone. Just want to also extend appreciation to the fire department, the fire chief and his team, for having assisting us with fighting this fire for the last 24 hours. Just to assure the public that we're doing our utmost best to make sure that this fire is kept under control, and we also want to ensure everyone that our normal operations in terms of regular collection of garbage continues. So if there's a little delay in terms of collections, just please bear with us. We'll get past this, but we'll do our best to continue operations. As you can see from behind me, that the landfill is somewhat remain operational. It's just one side of it, that the northwest corner that's on fire, and we're managing that. But like I said just now, our operation are continuing, and we will make sure that we keep our residential collection and our commercial collections on time and on target. So we just ask for your patience during this time. And again, I would like to thank the fire department, the police department, and also the overwhelming support and assistance that's been poured out to us from the private sector. We had people coming in from offering their heavy equipment, their excavators, their front loaders, as well as their dump trucks. I am entirely grateful to all of those personnel who came out and offered assistance to us, and with their help, we will continue to ensure that this matter is kept under control, and our operation continue as normal in short order.
Good afternoon, my name is Pete Landsdown, Detective Superintendent with RCIPS. I'd like to echo the words of our colleagues, Mr. Walker and the Fire Service. We've too have had a very challenging 24 hours. Very proud of the response of the RCIPS officers. We were notified of this fire at approximately 4 o'clock yesterday, Sunday afternoon. The officers who attended Eastern Tibbets Highway made a very quick assessment and established it was dangerous for any vehicles to go north or south on the carriageway, and closed both roadways. Soon after that, we established that sparks and embers were potentially going to cross the road and could have caused a major hazard to the residents of Lakeside. The smoke was quite thick and black and potentially could have caused respiratory problems to the residents over there, and I made the decision to evacuate Lakeside. Very proud of the response there. Approximately 400 or 500 people left the Lakeside area. They were offered the services of the Red Cross shelter. Very proud of Mr. Webster's buses, who graciously offered the services of his vehicles to assist moving people out. That wasn't needed. Most of the residents made their own way themselves. They were very self-reliant. We only had 7 people move into the shelters eventually, but the offer was there. Subsequently, approximately 9:30, the wind shifted and the smoke began to settle in Watler's Road, and we made the decision to evacuate that area. And again, the residents were very self-reliant and made their own way away from the area. Police continue patrols in both districts. We were mindful of security and helping people back in, collect personal property and move back out again. Overnight, we obviously had the problem with transport and the roads. We're preparing for the traffic difficulties this morning, so we had to keep the road closed, but as Mr. Walker has said, we hope we can get the road reopened this evening for the evening rush hour going northbound up into West Bay and ease some of that congestion, and if all goes well, we'll try and replicate that tomorrow morning for the early morning rush hour coming into town as well. So it was a joint emergency services response. Very proud of all of the emergency services. Cayman Island Hazard Management, who coordinated a lot of the responses. So on that, thank you very much.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I just want to start first by thanking Chief Walker and Mr. Sims and the entire fire service and the DEH crew for the tremendous job they have been doing and are still doing. I was here with them for about 5 hours last night and early into the morning, and believe you me, this looked like hell. It's incredibly improved since then, and the risks that they take to ensure that the rest of us are able to live comfortably is something I think many of us just take for granted. It is only when there are occasions such as this that we realize how truly valuable they are, and they've done an incredible job. I want to say how sorry I am and the entire government is about yet another one of these massive landfill fires. We have been working, we're coming up on 7 years now since we initiated this round of discussions and negotiations to get a permanent fix, at least for the next 25 to 30 years, for Cayman's solid waste issues. It is not a simple fix, and there's not one particular solution that will deal with it. There are a number of elements to this very complex exercise. Ironically, next week we were set to start the first phase, which is the remediation of this landfill. And hopefully we will get the fires under control and that work can go ahead as planned. But that first phase will involve a significant amount of cover, starting with what's called Cayman rock, which is fairly big rock, over this entire mound, followed up by other aggregate compaction, and then eventually the planting of vegetation, the insertion of pipes to allow the methane gas to be pulled off. Initially that will be flared, but ultimately the plan is that will form part of the waste to energy more broader solution. Where we are aiming to get to, and this is not going to take even a year or two, this is going to take 3 or 4 years, is the complete abandonment of landfilling as we know it. The vast majority of the waste will be burnt through the waste to energy plant, and essentially only the residue thereof will wind up in a much smaller, much different kind of landfill, because that's essentially ashes. The first part of this project we expect will take about 6 months, and in the meantime the waste will be dumped on the haunch, as Mr. Sims spoke about, and when that is brought up to its maximum level over on the other side, while the waste energy plant is being constructed and commissioned. So we're still, before we get to a complete solution, if there's ever such a thing, we're still talking about 3 or 4 years. But the immediate concern, which has been a long-standing concern of landfills catching fire, should be resolved in 6 to 8 months.